शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापत्कमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं अवधूतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सागणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे
हरे हरे
हरे
हरे
राम
हरे
राम
राम राम राम हरे हरे।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरये।
नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय
देवकीनन्दनाय च
नन्दगोपाकुमाराय
नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो
नमः।
नमः।
Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, Ramesh Prabhu, Poonam Mataji, thank you for joining. So we have to read from verse 7 today. We read till verse 6. So Gajendra is offering prayers to the Lord. और वो भगवत गीता की फिलॉसफी बोल रहे थे. He was talking about the difference between spirit and matter, how Krishna is the source of everything, the cause of all causes, yet he's independent Lord, he's aloof, he's not dependent on the material creation. तो बहुत सारा तत्व ज्ञान दे रहे थे about Supreme Lord, and that's how he was offering glorification. लास्ट वर्स में हमने पढ़ा था कि जैसे ऑडियंस एक्टर को पहचान नहीं पाती. if the actor is very expert, they hide themselves in such a way that they are not recognizable to the audience. Similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot be recognized or understood by even very advanced personalities, including demigods and great sages. So let's continue. 8.3.7. I can read this one. दिदिक्षवो यस्य पदं सुमङ्गलम्.
दिदृक्षवो यस्य पदं
पदं
सुमङ्गलम्
सुमङ्गलम्. विमुक्तसङ्गा मुनया सुसाधवा.
विमुक्तसङ्गा
विमुक्तसङ्गा
मुनया
मुनया
सुसाधवा.
चरन्त्यलोकावृतमावृणं वने.
चरन्त्यलोकावृतमावृणं वने.
वने भूतात्मभूता सुहृदा सा मे गति. Bhuta
भूतात्मभूतासुरदास मे गति.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Renunciates and great sages who see all living beings equally, who are friendly to everyone, and who flawlessly practice in the forest the vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas, desire to see the all auspicious lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that same Supreme Personality of Godhead be my destination. Purport. This verse describes the qualifications for devotees or persons highly elevated in spiritual consciousness. Devotees are always equal to everyone, seeing no distinction between lower and higher classes. Pandita Samadarshina. They look upon everyone as a spirit soul who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are competent to search for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the friend of everyone, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, they act as friends of everyone on behalf of the Supreme Lord, making no distinction between one nation and another or one community and another. They preach Krishna consciousness, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Thus, they are competent to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Such preachers in Krishna consciousness are called Paramhamsas. As indicated by the word Vimukta Sangha, they have nothing to do with material conditions. One must take shelter of such a devotee in order to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. So, in this verse, Gajendra is indirectly glorifying the Lord. Like he's saying that the great sages, renunciates who practice very strict vows, like vows of celibacy. Celibacy मतलब ब्रह्मचर्य का पालन करते हैं जो during their brahmacharya, vanprastha, and sannyas ashram, they live in secluded place and they practice a lot of austerities. They practice brahmacharya. Those great advanced personalities desire to see the all auspicious feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They want the shelter of the feet of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So may that Supreme Lord be my destination. So he wants that Supreme Lord to be his destination. So those people, such great people, desire his feet, and that person must be very desirable. So this brings to my mind the great, very famous verse which says, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chidatmani iti rama padena sau param brahma vidiyate. So in that verse it is said that the Supreme Lord Ram is the object of worship of these great yogis, great paramhamsas, great personalities, ascetics. They take bliss in thinking about him. They ramante yogino nante. They do his meditation. उनका रमन करते हैं और इस तरीके से उनको bliss मिलता है. सत्यानंदे चिदात्मनि. They feel bliss all the time. So that Ram, I want the shelter of his feet. So this prayer reminds me of that prayer. Because it is said that lower people, like ordinary people, like myself, for example, other and ordinary people, basically they like anything in this world. They get attracted to whatever. But the point is that the people who have left this world, who have nothing to do with this world, who are very aloof and not attracted, do not have the taste for this world, those people have very advanced taste. They have very high taste. They have taste for Supreme Lord. So we should not be hankering for the inferior taste or enjoyed by the ordinary people of this world. Rather, we should enjoy the higher taste enjoyed by these great people who have no taste for the lower things. So their taste is very refined. They have very well developed taste, and that is only for the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So we should also have similar taste. And then in purport, Prabhupada was describing how these great devotees are very elevated. They are Pandita Samadarshana, they are equipoised, they treat people equally, they do not distinguish based on the body. use everything in relation to the Lord, and they see everybody in relation to the Lord. They understand that everybody is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, so they can engage everyone in the service of the Lord, like Prabhupada. So he was able to engage anyone and everyone in the service of the Lord. They are Paramhamsas. They can get nectar. They can get the best out of everything and everyone. So they do not see any faults. They do not see anything other than in relation to Supreme Lord. So in this way, they do not make any external distinctions. They know that everybody is connected to the Lord and can be used in the service of the Lord. So such preachers are called Paramhamsa. So these are the pure devotees, Uttamadhikaris. And this is again describing the same concept described in Sri Shopnishad also we read. So I think yesterday also we kept going back to Sri Shopnishad. This also concept, Uttamadhikari's qualities are given in 2-3 verses of Ishopnishad. Same again coming here. And they are Vimukta Sangha. So Sangha here refers to Sangha of the material world. They do not have any attachment to the material world. They are free from the Jana Sangha or Vimukta Sangha. They are free from the attachment of this world. They do not have anything to do with material conditions. So very advanced people these are. And also I was thinking, since we keep going back to Sri Shopnishad, that's the last book we read. Actually, Sri Shopnishad is also a group of prayers, compilation of prayers to the Lord by a devotee. So they are also prayers just like this. And so they also follow the same pattern. So we can see in almost all prayers, this pattern is followed where Lord's devotees are glorified and Lord's tattva, Lord is, tattva gyan is given. And the one who's praying always keeps themselves in a very humble position. And they know that they're not very deserving of anything, but they are still glorifying the Lord and praying for his mercy and shelter. That's all I have to share for this one.
Okay, I have one question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So in this one, Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, what happened to Grasthacharya? So who are playing Grasthashram, they are not elevated, or I know, Supreme Personality of Godhead, even Grasthas are also praying, right? So
Yes,
maybe
Prabhuji.
maybe we are not elevated.
Well, this is so many understandings about that. It's many concepts. That's a detailed discussion, but the main thing is that in these other 3 ashramas, so Grihast ashram is the only ashram where some sense gratification is practiced under rules and regulations, of course, right? So this is the ashram where sense gratification is allowed, you can say.
Okay.
Right. So in the other ashramas, there is much more strictness with regards to sense gratification, especially the vow of brahmacharya is followed in the other ashrams, the vow of celibacy and other things also. The quotient of spiritual practices is much more in those 3 ashramas. So there is more stress on spiritual practices, gaining spiritual knowledge, spreading spiritual knowledge, following many spiritual practices on a daily basis. The amount or the proportion of spiritual practices in the routine is much more in those 3 ashramas. And Grast ashram is more concerned with the economic development, making a living, role in the development of community, society, contributing to the financial development and growth of the community, society, family, like that. So it has different type of responsibilities, but since the adhyatmic practices, spiritual practices, as well as the rules and regulations are more in those other 3, I believe those 3 are being mentioned in that way, because many great sages will be following one of these 3 ashramas.
So it's Aloka Vratam. Aloka Vratam means that, okay, so that's what it is. Okay, thank you, Mataji.
What did you say, Prabhuji? Oh, this one you're saying.
So
Okay.
yeah, the Aloka Vratam is law of Brahmacharya. So
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, we know that we are following our sampradaya. So this is a different yuga, different like we were saying, different, not even Bhulok, somewhere else this is happening. And so in we are following the customs, the tradition given to us in parampara by our Guru Varga. So we are recommended to stay in our, according to our time, place, and situation, in whichever ashram we are, and just increase our spiritual quotient. Sannyas is not very much recommended for Kali Yuga, anyways. But Vanprastha is something we can aim for at after a certain age.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Any other discussion, realizations, comments? Please share. Hare
I was
Krishna.
thinking about the same thing. Sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the same thing like what Narangi said at the end, that these are prayers by Gajendra. So a couple of things were coming to my mind. One, that he is in Grahastha ashram and he's thinking himself or his situation not to be elevated. Right now, he is, he has remembered all the glories of the Lord and is speaking from a elevated state and thinking of himself and his ashram to be not the highest, or it is not the highest one anyways, we know, but it is as Nani was saying, for our in our um, sampradaya, it is definitely recommended for certain people to be grahasthas, who 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 are not, who do not feel that they are meant for the other ashrams, and they definitely can be ideal grahasthas. We see so many senior devotees who are just wonderful and performing or in the grahastha ashram ideally, and not just like grah maybes. So, so definitely we don't necessarily have to feel that the Grahastha ashram is not conducive for Krishna bhakti. It is definitely an elevated ashram where we have wonderful senior acharyas like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, from which whom we can learn from how to perfect the life in the Grahastha ashram itself. So I was thinking about that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yesterday we were discussing, myself and Shailaja, like, anytime we feel like we are Superman, then Krishna doesn't like it. So I think Gajendra also was like, in front of all his female companion. He was thinking that he was having so much fun and is running around and into the water, and that's when the time of death, crocodile caught his feet. So we were discussing like yesterday, like all the Superman actors also, right? So um, I saw at least two or three actors who were acting for Superman. They got into the situation where they were not able to even lift a single spoon in their hand. The compression between the C4 and C3 on the spinal cord, something happened there, and then that caused them to not even able to lift the spoon. So Krishna is sometimes says, "Okay, you are a Superman. Then let's see how it is." So sometimes we have to be very careful in this.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Krishna will cut you to size.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing yesterday. Thank you.
इसलिए ज्यादा हीरो नहीं बनना चाहिए. I often say, ज्यादा हीरो नहीं बनना चाहिए in this world. There is only one hero.
Right.
Okay, let's keep reading. 8.3 to 8.9. So wow, these are 8.3 to 8.9. नहीं, नहीं. क्या वो 8.3.8 to 9. Okay, this is two verses. 8 to 9. Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. 8 to 9. So these are two verses. Anyone wants to recite and read this?
I can try.
Yes, Mataji.
One second.
न विद्यते यस्य च जन्म कर्म वा
न
न
वेद्यते
वेद्यते यस्य च
गुणदोष
जन्म कर्म वा
तथापि लोकाप्यय सम्भवायया
This one,
नामरूपे गुणदोष एव वा
अनुकालं पृच्छति तस्मै
तथापि
नमः
Mataji, we will follow after you.
ब्रह्मणे अनन्तशक्तये आरूपयोरूपया नाम आचार्य कर्मणि.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, can you read one line and then we can follow one line at a time?
Okay, got it. न विद्यते यस्य च जन्म कर्म वा
न
न
वेद्यते
वेद्यते
यस्य
यस्य च जन्म कर्म वा
न नामरूपा गुणदोष एव वा
न नामरूपा
नामरूपे
गुणदोष
गुणदेश एव वा
तथापि लोकाप्ययसम्भवायया
तथापि
तथापि
लोकाप्यसम्भवा
लोकाप्ययसम्भवायय
स्वमायया तानि अनुकालं रुच्यति
स्वमायया
तानि
तान्यनुकालं
अनुकालं
मृच्छति
तस्मै नाम परेशया
तस्मै नाम परेशाय
ब्रह्मणेनन्तशक्यते
ब्रह्मणेनन्तशक्तये
आरूपयोरुपाय
आरूपायोरुपाय
रूपाय
नमश्चार्य कर्मणि.
नाम
नामश्च
आचार्यकर्मणे
कर्मणे.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material birth, activities, name, form, qualities, or faults. To fulfill the purpose for which this material world is created and destroyed, he comes in the form of a human being like Lord Rama or Lord Krishna by his original internal potency. He has immense potency and in various forms, all free from material contamination. He acts wonderfully. He is therefore the Supreme Brahman. I offer my respects to him. Should I read the purport also?
Sure, Mataji. At least let's see how long it is. Yeah, you can read it.
One second.
I can't hear anything.
I also can't hear.
Mataji, are you able to hear us?
Yes. Now are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Gunamscha doshamcha mune vyatita samasta kalyana gunatmakopi. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material form, qualities, or faults. He is spiritual and is the only reservoir of all spiritual qualities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8 by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam, the Lord's activities of saving the devotees and annihilating the demons are transcendental. Anyone annihilated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead gets the same result as a devotee who is protected by the Lord. Both of them are transcendently promoted. The only difference is that a devotee goes directly to the spiritual planets and becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord, whereas demons are promoted to Brahmaloka, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. Both of them, however, are transcendently promoted. The Lord's killing or annihilating of the demons is not exactly like the killing of this material world. Although he appears to act within the modes of material nature, he is nirguna, above the modes of nature. His name is not material, otherwise, how could one get liberation by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama? The names of the Lord, like Rama and Krishna, are non different from the person Rama and Krishna. Thus, by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one constantly associates with Rama and Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore becomes liberated. A practical example is Ajamila, who always remained transcendental to his activities simply by chanting the name Narayana. If this was true of Ajamila, what is to be said of the Supreme Lord? When the Lord comes to this material world, he does not become a product of matter. This is confirmed throughout Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma cha me divyam avajananti mam modha manushim tanumashritam. Therefore, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rama or Krishna, descends to act transcendentally for our benefit, we should not consider him an ordinary human being. When the Lord comes, he does so on the basis of his spiritual potency, Swayam Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, because he is not forced to come by the material energy. He is always transcendental. One should not consider the Supreme Lord an ordinary human being. Material names and forms are contaminated, but spiritual name and spiritual form are transcendental. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, you want to summarize this verse?
Sure, Mataji. So, mainly what I got from here is that we should not think that the Lord's form or the Lord's appearing in this world is like us appearing here or like us being born here. His birth and his activities are all transcendental. One, secondly, like when somebody in this material world kills somebody, they have to reap the consequences of it. But when and the soul just goes through whatever next life that the soul has to go through because of their past karma. But when Krishna kills somebody, then they are they're sent to the spiritual world, like the Brahma Jyoti. Like when Krishna kills these demons, although they were not loving Krishna or anything like the gopis or anyone else, when Krishna killed the demons, they still got to go to the spiritual world as in they merged into the Brahmajyoti. But the devotees of the Lord, they would go back to Goloka where they would be able to serve the Lord. But the demons, I mean, Srila Prabhupada says in some other place, like the people who go to Brahmajyoti, they are not, that's not permanent for them because of their desires, they could come back. So I'm guessing that is the difference there. But so that is that part, right? And then the other thing is like Krishna's activities, we cannot consider that as material. And then Krishna's name and form are non-different, meaning when we chant Krishna's name or Rama's name, then we are actively calling out the Lord himself and associating with him. But if we called out some other word like a microphone or whatever, that doesn't make us associate with the microphone. I hope.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. I'll just share a couple understandings that you also mentioned. I think the main thing is to understand that nothing about Supreme Lord is material. His activities, his names, his forms, his qualities, nothing is material at all. And that theme also keeps coming up over and over again in all the prayers. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, Janm karm cha me divyam evam yoveti tatvata. So this is something we have to understand. This is baseline thing we just need to understand. Any of his paraphernalia, any of the spiritual activities, none of those things, and anything about Lord, his various appearances, his various names, none of those is material at all. So that's one thing that I got from this. And whoever associates with any of those, names or energies of the Lord, the activities, they also become spiritual, or those activities become spiritual. So especially his names and energies, we need to understand, are very, very potent. Mahaprabhu also says in Shikshashtakam prayers, he says, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nij Sarva Shaktis. So he says that your names are so potent, so many and so potent. You have infused your names with all the energies. And similarly, Bhagavatam also says, Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvan Nama Namina. So Lord's names, forms, qualities, pastimes, they are non-different from the Lord. That's why when we are reading Bhagavatam, we are, associating with the Lord. So that is the main thing. And that is why other people who don't understand this concept, they are called Muda, because they consider him, his names, his activities, everything to be ordinary. So they do not value those things and think that material things are on it's all the same. It's on the same platform. So that's my main takeaway from this, Mataji. Anybody else wants to share? And so Prabhupada has made sure to mention this aspect that when he kills, it's different than our killing. Like you were mentioning, when we kill, we are driven by our anger, ego, envy, pride, whatnot. We have our own agenda. We have some karmas. We have some reactions that we are going through right now. But when he kills, it's completely different. So his killing is actually purifying. His anger is purifying. So we cannot start imitating the Lord, because his activities are not controlled by the three modes of material nature. Anyone wants to share anything more on this? If not, we'll move on. Let's see. This is a short one. Nabbe, do you want to read this one?
Yeah. Nama Atma Pradipaya.
Nama Atma Pradipaya.
Pradipaya.
Sakshin Paramatmane.
Sakshine Paramatmane.
Namo Giram Viduraya.
Namo Giram Viduraya.
Manasaschettasamapi.
Manasaschettasamapi.
Translation: I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the self-effulgent Supersoul, who is the witness in everyone's heart, who enlightens the individual soul, and who cannot be reached by exercises of the mind, words, or consciousness. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the individual soul through mental, physical, or intellectual exercises. It is by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the individual soul is enlightened. Therefore, The Lord is described here as Atma Pradapa. The Lord is like the sun, which illuminates everything and cannot be illuminated by anyone. Therefore, if one is serious about understanding the Supreme, one must receive enlightenment from him, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's mental, physical, or intellectual powers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You want to share anything, Navya?
This verse is pretty easy. It's just saying how the super soul is the witness in everyone's heart. So he's just watching there. He's always there, and he's helping us to attain him, and he can't be reached by exercises of the mind, words, or consciousness.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'll just briefly summarize. So yes, Supreme Lord is the super soul, witness in everyone's heart. Krishna says this multiple times in Bhagavad Gita. He also says that I'm the Updrishta. He says Updrishta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmeti chapi Yukto Dehe Asmin Purusha Para. That I'm the witness. So Updrishta, and Anumanta means the permitter, the one who sanctions our activities. So he witnesses and sanctions because he knows the desires of our heart, and based on what we deserve, he might sanction, and he witnesses everything. And he enlightens the individual soul. So he gives the understanding. He also says this in Bhagavad Gita, that I give the understanding by which, the knowledge by which you can come back to me. So he helps us remember some things. Forgetfulness also comes from Krishna, but he cannot be reached by exercises of the mind, words, or consciousness. So Prabhupada is saying this, that through various exercises, mental, physical, or intellectual exercises, he cannot be reached. And I think we understand this. So no point just coming up with our own philosophies, speculations. Prabhupada always condemns any type of mental speculations or word jugglery or yogic postures and all may help in certain meditative practices, but still, by all those efforts, Krishna cannot be reached. So there is it has to happen by the grace of the Lord. So he's saying it is by the grace of the Lord that the soul will be enlightened. So Lord is described here as Atma Pradipa, who is self-effulgent. Apni roshni se jo chamak rahe hain. So self-effulgent. And then Lord is like the sun. So he illuminates everything. He cannot be illuminated by anyone. So whoever is in the presence of the sun will light up. Similarly, the Lord is like the sun, who will give the knowledge, the warmth, who will light up, who drive away all the darkness of ignorance. Okay, I don't have much else to share here. Any other thoughts, realizations?
Shailaja wants to share something.
Mataji, I remember that when Arjuna and that episode where the Brahmana's sons were taken by Lord Mahavishnu, and then Arjuna and Krishna goes on expedition to get the children back. Arjuna sees on the way that the whole place was completely dark, and then Krishna's body effulgence is what illuminated the place. There, I remember that part.
Okay. Yes,
So-
thank you, Mataji.
So Mataji, I wanted to share this. So, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's sitting in our heart, actually he's actually he judges. He's a supreme judge. He notes down our action, and he judges. He gives a judgment, and also he gives the result of our past or present action. So he does all three activities within our heart. And if we are not turned to him, and then we try to understand ourselves or try to reach a certain goal with our mind, not through Preeti Purvakam, then it's a false endeavor. I think that's what is written here. One thing we have to understand is that Krishna himself he has the three things he does in the sitting our heart. Witness, yes, that's the one. But then he also judges. He gives a judgment, and also he's a Nyayadish, right? So he's sitting there, and also gives us the result of our past action. Just want to share that one thing.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else wants to share anything? Okay, let's go to the next one. Number 11. Anyone wants to read this?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Satvena pratilabhyaya
Satvena pratilabhyaya
naishkarmayena vipaschita
Nishkarmena
Vipaschita
nama kaivalya nathaya
Nama Kevalyanathaya
nirvana sukha samvide.
Nirvana Sukha Samvide.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by pure devotees who act in the transcendental existence of Bhakti Yoga. He is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness and is the master of the transcendental world. Therefore, I offer my respect unto him. So, should I read the purport, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanti yavan yasya chasmi tatvata. If one wants to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in truth, one must take to the activities of devotional service. These activities are called sattva or shuddha sattva. In the material world, activities of goodness, which are symptomatic of the pure Brahmana, are appreciated, but the activities of devotional service are Shuddha Sattva. In other words, they are on the transcendental platform. Only by devotional service can one understand the Supreme. Should I read the next one, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Devotional service is called Naishkarmya. Mere negation of material activities will not endure. Naishkarmayam api achyuta bhava vrajitam. Unless one performs activities with reference to Krishna consciousness, cessation of material activities will not be helpful. In hopes of achieving Naishkarmya, freedom from material action, many highly elevated sannyasis stopped their activities. Yet they failed and returned to the material platform to act as a materialistic persons. But once one is engaged in spiritual activities of Bhakti Yoga, one does not fall down. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore an attempt to engage everyone always in spiritual activity, by which one becomes transcendental to material actions. The spiritual activities of Bhakti Marg Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam lead one to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, as stated here, Satvena, Pratilabhyaya, Neshkarmyayana, Vipakshita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by pure devotees who act in the transcendental existence of Bhakti Yoga. Should I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, please finish this.
The Gopala Upanishad says, Bhaktirasya Bhajanam Tad Iha Murtyopadi Nairasyeneva Musmim Manasa Kalpanam Etad Evacha Neshkarmyam. This is a definition of Neshkarmya. One act in Neshkarmya when he fully engages in Krishna consciousness activities without material desires to enjoy, either here or in the upper planetary system, in the present life or in the future life, Iha Amarta, Abhya Anya Bhislashita Shunyam, when one is freed from all contamination and he acts in devotional service under the direction of spiritual master, one is on the platform of Neshkarmya. By such transcendental devotional service, the Lord is served. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
Yes, Prabhuji, please share some understanding on this.
Yes, Mataji. So I think I'll try to summarize. Gajendra is very is in the state where he's able to relate what he learned or what he has practiced previously, and in his bhakti yoga in his previous life, and then he realized that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by the pure devotees who actually act in the bhakti marg. Unless he knew that bhakti yoga in previous life, he would not have realized that. And then he also might have experienced a little bit of happiness in his previous life. That's why he says that he is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness, and then he feels that he is the Lord, is master of the transcendental world. So unless he has experienced this previously or learned from somebody that the devotees who act in a transcendental existence of bhakti yoga can realize Supreme Personality of Godhead, he would not have come to conclusion here. And also in Bhagavad Gita as summarized here, Bhaktyamam Abhishanti Yamam Yasya Chasya Tatvataha. So unless we do this without doing the devotional activities or service of Krishna, it's very hard to understand the Shuddha Tattva or Shuddha Sattva, the transcendental platform, and then can be realized only by the devotional activities to the Supreme Lord. And also further, there is a reference to Krishna consciousness activity. So unless one is perform the spiritual activity in Bhakti Marg, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, there's nine marga of Bhakti. They will not be able to, it's very hard to understand Supreme Personal Godhead. I'm saying very hard, maybe because there may be other instances where in rare cases Krishna has granted the prema bhakti or bhakti to the person who was initially going in the Jnana Marg. But for 99% of the population, I think we won't able to understand unless we take up this Bhakti Marg. Then also he also mentioned in Prabhupada also mentioned about Gopala Tapani Upanishad, where Naishkarmya was described. One act in fully engages fully in Krishna consciousness activities without material desires to enjoy either here or in the upper planetary system, in the present or future life, and one is freed from all contamination, without that, it's very hard to understand the spiritual, understand the Supreme Lord. And then also here there is a mention of under the direction of spiritual master, who is always in the platform of Naishkarmya, and by such translational devotion service, Lord is served. And then with that service, there is a greater chance that, or it is always a chance to understand Supreme Personal Godhead. And then in that mode, when they offer, or when we offer respectful obeisance to the Lord, then the Lord is pleased. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, thanks for sharing. You summarized nicely. So, summary, I'll just give a summary of your summary, just in 2-3 points. So, one is that he's realized by pure devotees. Prabhupada is quoting this famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mama abhijanati yavanish tatvata tato mam tatvato gyatva vishte tadanantaram. So, he can only be realized by the pure devotional service. They practice, they act according to Bhakti Yoga. And then, of course, by practicing bhakti, one gets uncontaminated happiness. So this is not material happiness. This is anand. This is bliss of Satchidanand ka jo anand hai. That bliss is coming from those practices through Krishna. So Krishna bestows that happiness, that anand. So Bhagavatam also says, Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhukshje ahetukiya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. So it gives an uncontaminated bliss. It gives the eternal, ever increasing, deepest type of happiness that comes from Krishna. And he is the master of the transcendental world. We know that. He's the Maheshwar, Supreme Ishwar. The aspect, this Naishkarmya word that Prabhupada has used many times in this purport. So this we understand, it means that we are working for Krishna, for satisfaction of Krishna. Again, that verse also says, Savai pamsap paro dharmo yato bhakti radhukshje ahetuki apratihata. So it is unmotivated bhakti. It is an unmotivated action. It is not for personal gain, nothing for selfish gain. It is all done for the satisfaction of the Lord. So satisfaction of the Lord truly pleases the soul also. So that gives this Naishkarmya work will give uncontaminated happiness. So this service with love, without any personal gain, without any personal motivation, any sense gratification or fruitive benefit, just for the satisfaction and service and love of the Supreme, that will give uncontaminated happiness. And that is the whole practice of Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. So, Prabhupada is condemning any, just negating the material activity does not help, but we have to dovetail our material activities and make them spiritual. So I was just, and then again, he's quoting the famous verse, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadi Anavritam Anukullena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktaruttam. So this is the Uttama type of bhakti. This is a definition. This verse is a definition of pure devotional service, that the devotional service should be without any other desires. Anya Bilashita Shunyam. And there should not be any covering of Gyan Karmadi. Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. Anukullena Krishnanu. It should be favorable to Krishna. Anushilanam Bhaktiruttama. So that is the type of devotional service which is practiced by the Uttama devotees. And that is, so it is Naishkarmya. It is without any desires, without any motivation. The only motivation is to satisfy the Supreme. So this word, Anya Bilashita or Naishkarmya, has to be noted here. And that will give uncontaminated happiness, pure bliss, and unlimited anand and joy. So, and this is the only path by which Krishna can be realized. So any other paths also have to go through this. So if there is somebody on Gyan Marg, Karm Marg, then eventually they will come through the door of bhakti. You cannot, without and going through the door of bhakti, you cannot enter, you cannot win the heart of Supreme Lord. So all those paths will also ultimately have to culminate in bhakti yoga to get the ultimate benefit of Krishna Prema.
Mataji, I had one question, or Prabhuji.
Yes,
Um,
Prabhuji, please.
So I know this verse say that we have to have an Vilashita Shunyam. But in case of our Grasta life, in this material life where we have a lot of responsibility, right? I mean, it's very hard. So we have responsibility of taking care of family or anybody, right, in this matter. Always there is a fear, right? So there is a fear. Is this enough, or should I do this more? Or if I leave this, I might leave the job, or there's a problem here. There is always in getting to that state. It's difficult in my opinion. So it is said that okay, the spiritual master has that ability, but not us. So, but as a I know the spiritual master is transcendentally.
Prabhuji, can you reframe your question? Can you tell me again in 1 or 2 lines? Like you're saying that it is hard to do what? To not have any other desires? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was saying that as a grastas, we always have some kind of a fear, and getting to that anavashta shunyam is very difficult. We'll have something other goal to achieve. Yeah, because of the reason of taking care of family, right? That's a responsibility. If it's a person who is holding the responsibility, there is always a fear. If I leave and fully surrender to Krishna, or take full bhakti marg and ignore my family, then so there is always that fear, correct? So
Yeah, but nobody has said to ignore the family. That is actually not recommended. We are not supposed to ignore our professional duties or family or neglect any responsibilities given to us at all. We are just recommended to dovetail everything in service of Krishna, to align everything with to make all our activities spiritual as much as you can. So whether it's your work, whether it's your household, whether it's your family, engage everybody in service of the Lord, include or connect everything to Krishna as much as we can. That is recommended, not to ignore or neglect anything. So Anya Bilashita means to have no desire but to please the Lord. So it will not please the Lord actually if you're ignoring or neglecting the services given to you in this world. But remember that do those with the service attitude, not with the attitude of lording it over the world or to enjoy it for yourself. That is the change in consciousness that we have to make. So we just have to shift our vision in which our duties that we have been given are not done in a materialistic way for self-enjoyment and just for name, fame, gain, money, etc., but for the larger goal of taking care of your family responsibly, serving the Lord with that money, with those benefits that you get, having a balanced life in which you can practice bhakti, the spirituality nicely. So you just have to shift your vision in that way, but not to completely negate any material activities. Just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjun to fight, to keep fighting, but tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhascha mai arpita mano buddhir ma evashyasi asamshayam. That at all times fight, but remember me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manus. At all times remember me while fighting, but fight. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhascha. So you cannot give up the fight. You have to keep fighting, but you're fighting by remembering Krishna at all times and investing your mind and intelligence in him. Mayar Pita Mano Buddhir. So you're always seeking Krishna's guidance, always seeking help and guidance and protection and shelter from the Lord and his devotees, and how to structure your life in such a way that Krishna is still the center and all the other activities are feeding that main activity of Krishna consciousness. That's my understanding, Prabhuji. But we've been discussing this in Nectar of Instruction also lately, about the balanced lifestyle, where material activities are understood to be in the periphery, but they are important enough because they will be also feeding, also helping us grow grow spiritually as well.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. So my thinking was a little different. So I was thinking like, you know, if at all it applies to me, right? I mean, I'm just looking at from my side. So if at all we want to, if I, you know, me and Shailaja, if we want to, you know, fully dedicate ourselves, so there is always some kind of fear in the sense that, you know,
Yes,
I
Prabhuji,
mean,
for specific guidance, I think, yeah, like as far as based on the age, based on your responsibilities with the kids and your, you know, other dependents, let's say parents, and for those specific things like finances, all those things, I think if you talk to your seniors, they can guide you on how to slowly keep increasing your spiritual, um, you know, spiritual activities proportionately increase with age, and yet not neglect anything. So I think gradually that shift will come, but you may have to, you know, for those specific guidance, you may have to approach your seniors with the in regards to the finances, in regards to your work, how much time in work, how much time in temple services, those kind of things. But gradually keep increasing your spiritual activities, and or at least a balance.
Right. Okay. That's all I meant. I just had that in the back of the mind. That's all. Sorry, Mataji. Yeah, you can continue.
No, Prabhuji, that's yeah, interesting.
Trying to see how we can balance, you know, practically, right? I mean, that's we understand, but how do we implement practically? That's all I'm just looking.
Yeah, practically thoda specific details will be needed, so that I think we can talk separately, or I can connect you to our seniors also. But this is just the principles, not the details that I mentioned.
Thank you. Yeah.
Shall we stop for today? Because the next one, or can we do one more or no? Nagachan Prabhu, you want to do one more? You haven't ready?
Yes, I think we can do. We started a little late today.
Okay, go ahead.
Namah Shantaya Ghoraya
Namah Shantaya Ghoraya
Mudaya Gunadharmine
Mudaya Gunadharmine
Nirvisheshaya Samyaya
Nirvisheshaya Samyaya
Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha.
Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha.
Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Vasudev, who is all-pervading, to the Lord's fierce form as Lord Narsimhadev, to the Lord's form as an animal, Lord Varahadev, to Lord Dattatreya, who preached impersonalism, to Lord Buddha, and to all other incarnations. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has no material qualities, but who accepts the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, within this material world. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the impersonal Brahman effulgence. In the previous verses, it has been described that although the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material form, he accepts innumerable forms to favor his devotees and kill the demons. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that they are like the waves of a river. The waves of a river flow incessantly, and no one can count how many waves there are. Similarly, no one can calculate when and how the different incarnations of the Lord appear according to the necessities of time, place, and candidates. The Lord appears perpetually. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.7, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. In the material world, there is always the possibility of deviation from Krishna consciousness, and therefore, Krishna and his devotees always act in various forms to curb such godlessness. Even impersonalists who stress the knowledge feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead want to merge in the effulgence of the Lord. Therefore, here the word Jnana Ghanaya indicates that for atheists who disbelieve in the form and existence of the Lord, all these various incarnations appear. Since the Lord comes to teach in so many forms, no one can say that there is no God. The word Gyan Ghanaya is especially used here to refer to those whose knowledge has become solidified by dint of their searching for the Lord through speculative philosophical understanding. Superficial knowledge is useless for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when one's knowledge becomes extremely intense and deep, one understands Vasudev. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sarmahatma Sudurlabha. A jnani attains this stage after many, many births. Therefore, the word Gyan Ghanaya is used. The word Shantaya indicates that Lord Vasudev is situated in everyone's heart but does not act with the living entity. Impersonalists, impersonalist jnanis realize Vasudev when they are fully mature in knowledge. Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Hare Krishna. So here Gajendra continues to pray to the Lord and is praying to the different forms and incarnations of the Lord that have come at different time, place, circumstances, and also is praying to the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. In the purport, Prabhupada is describing that, and elsewhere we have read in Srimad Bhagavatam that the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable and they are coming all the time, perpetually, and they are like waves in the river. So just like you cannot count the waves in the river or ocean, similarly, we cannot count and say that there are only 3 incarnations or 10 incarnations or 1,000 incarnations. It's innumerable. So we can't say that only X amount of incarnations are there. They are continuously appearing. And I think a few days back, Ramesh Prabhu was also making this point that, Krishna is always, kind of present somewhere, some universe, something, some pastimes are always perpetually going on. So, in some form or the other. So, so that is being specified. And then Prabhupada is also describing a few words specifically from from the verse, and is being a little heavy-handed on the impersonalists, that there are so many forms. Krishna comes himself as so and also has so many incarnations and forms that nobody should be able to say. Nobody should be saying that there is no one, there is no God, and then for the atheists, and then for the impersonalists, there are so many forms which are there, so many beautiful, wonderful forms, um, and there are multiple reasons always why God appears in certain forms, and so also the word also mentioned about is the Gyan Ghoraya, which is for Ghanaya,
Dhanwad.
Gyan Ghanaya, who is knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. So yeah, so Prabhupada also says that Jnani is actually after multiple lifetimes, when they are perfected in their Gyan Yoga, will eventually come to the understanding finally that Vasudev Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurbha. That Vasudev is the supreme personality of the God of Godhead, and he has a form, and eventually they will come to this realization. So we are lucky, and that somehow by the mercy of Prabhupada and the devotees, we have at least come to that level that we have, confirmed in the fact that, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and has a form. So, that's by the mercy of the devotees and prayers of devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you.
Nagachindra. Okay. Hare Krishna, Anand Kishori Mataji. We didn't get to hear from you today. Mataji, please share any corrections, realizations, or anything. If you're available, if not, that's fine. Okay, she may not be available. The next one is really long, so we'll do that tomorrow. So we have to start from 13 tomorrow. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All
Hare
glories,
Krishna.
all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone. Vancha kaltarubhascha kripa sindhudevacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Hare
Namo Namah.
Krishna.